The Steps Hip Spica Care DVD is made for parents and carers of children in hip spica cast. They are a series of mini videos which cover aspects of looking after a child in a cast. The videos are examples of how real families coped with everyday tasks of looking after a child in a hip spica. They are not meant to be fully comprehensive and cannot tell you everything you will need to know about hip spica care, but hopefully they will reassure you that solutions can be found to many practical problems. Remember that it is best to contact your healthcare professional if you have a problem you cannot solve. Parents, carers and healthcare professionals have reviewed these videos.
Well, we found out at about 8 weeks old. We didn't find out whilst Lily was in hospital. So I did feel a little bit guilty about that we didn't find earlier, but the GP was a little bit unsure. He still didn't know until they had the scan whether it was a true hip problem or not. But then I think it was we just needed to get things sorted, and I think it was a case of initially we didn't realise she was going to go into spica. We thought it would just be with a Pavlik harness. The run up to the operation was terrible, but Steps, I have to say, was marvellous, because I went onto the forum, spoke to all the other mums, and it was just preparing what do you need for her, what things do we need to prepare beforehand, and it was things like car seats, clothes, what do you do about not bathing, and just the general day-to-day queries. And that's what I found great, was talking to the other mums on the Steps website, because they just say it how it is. It's matter-of-factly. But I think with me, because I like to organise things, I like to have everything right, I had as much as I could organised beforehand, but obviously I had to kind of realise that there were some things I couldn't do beforehand, such as prams. We struggled with prams really before. Getting things like that ready, we ended up going after the hospital, and we went and we actually put her into prams to see which she'd fit in. But no, it was great having the forum to speak to other mums and just preparing like clothes and things that we needed to expect really. I think it's hard to speak to people who aren't in the same situation. I don't think anyone understands what it's like waiting for that, and the guilt that you feel really. I mean, I don't think my husband didn't deal with it the same as me, and the fact that he didn't see that there was a problem with her hips like I did, and it was only when she actually went into the Pavlik the first time he actually cried, because he saw her in it and it was there in his face. But I think that the people on the forum are the best people to speak to, because they're going through it, they know exactly what you're talking about and how you're feeling. They might not feel exactly the same, but at least the majority of them will feel similar or had some feelings of the same. I think as soon as Lily went into that plaster, I realised that she was the same person, because that was one of my fears beforehand, was that Lily would change and her character would change. And as soon as she had a plaster put on and she hadn't changed, it was a bit of kind of a light at the end of the tunnel really for me, and it was over, it was done, and we just kind of had to get the next 6 months or whatever over and done with. And Lily, to be honest, has been a lot happier since she's been in the cast. She's slept better. And I'm sure, I don't know whether there is a problem with that, but I'm sure that her sleep was disturbed in the night because of her hips previously, and she sleeps a lot better now. And she's just the happiest little girl, and she's not changed in the slightest. So as soon as that cast went on, it's been hard work. I'm not saying that it's not been hard work looking after her, but my fears just have gone now really, and you just get on with it.
I noticed when she'd be about 4 months old that we had, when I was bathing her, I kept noticing that one leg looked longer than the other, and I felt like I was a paranoid mother, to be honest. So I went to the GP without telling the family or my husband, and literally within 2 weeks of seeing the GP, we was down at Manchester Children's Hospital seeing the consultant. And after we saw the consultant, it was a shell shock, and you are shell shocked. You think to yourself, my God, what are we going to do with this baby in plaster? She's going to, you know, how do you look after her? How does she get around? How will we dress her? Things like that. It was quite traumatic, really. And when we was told, I felt we was told quite matter of fact, and that. You know, this is what's going to happen, and it might be that operations might have to happen in the future, but they would sort her out, and this is what this hip spica was going to go on. We would be given a bit of information, but wasn't really given much information about her. But anyway, She went into hospital. It was for her first hip spica. This is Amelia's second hip spica, so I can understand that you will be worried. Went into hospital for her first hip spica, and we was told she was having closed or an open reduction. And when she went in, she ended up having the open reduction, a lot bigger operation than the consultant initially thought it would have been. And when she come out, I was absolutely mortified when she came out of the theatre, absolutely mortified. And I was breastfeeding her at the time. I thought I would breastfeed her to try and keep her quite comforted. Breastfeeding her was a hard work because obviously the weight of her, the plaster was heavy, and I was really, really emotional about her. And when I brought home, the family were quite emotional as well. But Amelia came into her own, and this is the thing, that children adapt much better than what we think they will do. And within a few weeks, she'd started crawling, and she was actually crawling on her arms like this, like a little army man. She coped with it extremely, extremely well, and I got more confident. You need to get over that first couple of weeks. That first couple of weeks are the worst, and it is upsetting. And the thing that I thought of most was, how can I make this little girl look into a little girl? It was coming summertime. I wanted her in a pretty dress. I wanted her to look nice, as she was my little girl. That I wanted it to. And it might be a bit vain, but you want people to think, oh, that's a lovely little baby. And they were looking at her for all the wrong reasons. They were looking at her because she was in this plaster. And this plaster, they're not attractive. You know, your legs stuck out wide, she's a big bar across. And the thing is, as they're moving around, the plaster becomes dirty, and there's nothing you can do about that. But you can clean, as long as the inside is clean and there's no sores or anything there, you can cope with that so long as they're happy. And we found that Amelia's first time round in the plaster, although she was quite young at the time, her concentration levels became very, very good. So it had its advantages, the hip spica, in a funny sort of way. I know you might not think that, but the thing is, her concentration levels were so good that she would look at a television and she would actually interact with a children's programme. So I think you have to take the positives from every negative, and also, although it is a negative experience being in a hip spica, you've got to take it for what it is, and you will get there with them. So that was year one. Brothers and sisters. So Amelia's got 2 brothers and 1 sister. Obviously, when they saw her, they were shocked when they saw her. But they also provide a lot of love and attention towards Amelia, and children aren't as frightened of asking you what's happened as what adults are. An adult will look at you sometimes quite judgmentally and think, oh, you've harmed the child, or she's fallen, you weren't watching what you were doing with her. A child will actually ask you what's happened, and I found that the children were good with other friends as well, and they soon got the hang of lifting her and making sure that she was happy. And as soon as she sees one of her brothers or sisters or cousins, she's happy, because you've got to keep that interaction and you've got to keep them playing. And brothers and sisters obviously got used to it quicker than what I did, I think. They just, that's their little sister, they'll love her and protect her, and anyone that says anything to her, especially her biggest brother. We was out one day, and a big brother said, when someone was looking, and it was an adult actually looking at her, he just turned around and says, you can have a picture if you want, but ask us what's wrong with her. We've not hurt her. So brothers and sisters were fine. They'll get used to it. They'll be fine.
Remember, you are not alone. When you want information, advice and support, our helpline team are here to help you. No matter how big or small your concern, please email or telephone our helpline. Get instant access to information 24 hours a day via our website, where you can download our advice leaflets. You can also visit our online chat forum, which provides a fantastic resource of helpful tips and practical advice written by parents who are coping with a child affected by hip dysplasia.